I call this meeting Lake Mary Toastmasters to order. Make sure you turn off any of your noise-making devices. There we go. So that they do not go off and interrupt another person's speech, because you know how much fun it is when it interrupts yours. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you. Is there anyone who'd also like to take on the 50-50 role this morning? Select their...
Mike?
What's in do what?
I got a value. I thought you raised his hand.
Hey, all right.
Come on, y'all.
No one else?
I can take what afternoon.
Collect the money, hand out the tickets. Be ready to give the half at the end.
All right.
Good for that?
Show me the money.
Okay.
Yay.
Here. A buck for one.
All right.
And please welcome to the lectern our Toastmaster for this morning, Julia Kaufman.
Hey, Stephen. Good morning, Toastmasters. And yes,
Good morning.
oh, sorry, didn't mean to. 2014 is about to be over, and we're going to start a new year in 2015. And notice I did not say what your resolutions are. I just put it as 2015. What does 2015 hold for you? And I was thinking about it, and I want to hold steadfast. I just want to keep going with my goals and my focus, because I don't feel like I quite accomplished everything I wanted to do in 2014. On a good track, on a roll, I just want to keep steadfast. So that's my plan for 2015. I was also curious about what 2015 had, what plans there were for 2015. So I Googled 2015 and I found some interesting information, and this is kind of where I am focusing my theme on. 2015 is the International Year of Light. And if you think about that, what does that mean? I had no idea, so I went further into what the International Year of Light meant. And really it's all about the sciences. It's about focusing on light resources, from photonics to energy to the economic impact of it. I'm going to talk about that through our meeting on exactly where their focus is, because that's what's going to bring us further into the 21st century on how light impacts our everyday living. So let's talk about what impacts our meeting today, and that would be our technical table, which is a little bit lean this morning, but thank you for filling in for a double duty role. Let's welcome Rich Massa, who's going to talk about his role as timer and grammarian.
My function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants to ensure they meet the timing requirements. I will demonstrate the timing lights, which will be displayed as follows. For the speakers, at 5 minutes, you'll see the green signal. At 6 minutes, you'll see the yellow signal. And at 7, you will see the red signal. For table topics, there will be at 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and 1 minute with the same signals. And for evaluators at 2, 2.5, and 3 minutes. Thank you. As grammarian, it is my function to select a word of the day to help build members' vocabularies. That's great for me. Each member, when called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members may gently tap on the table when they hear a member use the word. Present the word of the day and display it on the lectern.
All right, which is luminous right here. And it's also on your agenda. Thank you, Rich. Rich, please last name for me. I think I pronounced it wrong.
Massa.
Massa. Thank you very much. Also, one correction on the time for you to note. We have an icebreaker, and icebreakers are 4 to 6. So at 4 minutes, you're going to hold up the green light. And when you display the light, hold it the whole time. And then when yellow, hold that yellow, and then red, just keep it up. Thank you very much for filling in. And filling in as the awe counter, please welcome Emma.
It is my function to listen for the use of words such as you know, so, okay, and and other audible pauses as fillers. I will be noting them if members perform any double clutches, which means to say things twice, such as this means, this means. Finally, I will also include things which might be distracted, such as lip smacks. I will present my report during the evaluation portion of the meeting.
All right, thanks very much. So what is photonics? Photonics was listed as why light matters, and photonics is, does anybody not know it like I didn't know it, or does everybody know what photonics is? Thank you. I know that Stephen, I'm sure, knows this. It's basically fiber optics, and it's the study of technology using light for the transmission of information. So photon is visible light particles, and it is the instrument for today's world of iPhones and iPads and electronics that we use every day. So that's a big focus for the 21st century. We're going to focus today on 3 great speeches, from an icebreaker to a vocal variety speech to organizing your speech. Our first up is giving his icebreaker. Please welcome and give a warm applause as he gives his icebreaker, Mr. Sam Bailey.
Madam Toastmaster, members and guests, December 29th, 9:40 p.m. I'm sitting propped up with my favorite pillow, controller in hand, slaying hordes of the undead. And then I realize it's Monday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Toastmaster's Tuesday. I signed up for a speech. I just got my packet in. I don't have a mentor or anything like that yet. It can't be. 10:40 p.m. You know what? I'll text Mike. Hey, Mike, who's speaking tomorrow? And to my relief, 2 names popped up on my phone. And then I realized, wait, there's usually 3 people speaking. And then from there, I simply get a reply, you. Once again, I find myself in another impossible situation. No time to complete it. And the weight of the world once again thrusted upon my shoulders. You're 2 steps behind, Ginger Boy. Pick up the slack. All throughout my educational career, I was an ESE kid. And basically what that means is I have a learning disability. I read a little bit slower than the average Joe. So with that, when the Federations of Communists and Terrorists, also known as the FCAT, came rolling around, I was given extra time to complete the test. Well, going into middle school, they remembered this, of course, but they accidentally made a little mistake in my scheduling. The guidance counselor called my brother, or our mother, excuse me. Hello, is this Miss Bailey? This is she? Hi, I just wanted to go ahead and let you know, instead of putting your son in all intensive classes, we accidentally put him in all honors classes. You did what? Yes, hear me out. We're gonna let him see how it goes. If he passes, he passes. We give him a chance to grow. But if he fails, we'll just do grade forgiveness, we'll put him back in the intensive classes, he'll be fine. All right, don't hurt my baby. Neither one of them decided to tell me this until the middle of the semester. It was ridiculous. But I made it through. I got all A's and B's, and going into high school, same exact thing. I had extra time for when I needed, but stayed in all honors classes. Really threw that FCAT for a run for its money. However, in the 11th grade, the counselor came up to me and said, Sam, we need to give you just a little bit more. I want to put you in dual enrollment. And what dual enrollment is a program to where you actually have the opportunity to get your associate's degree while you're still in high school. I was able to get the majority of my associate's degree 1 semester behind before I got out of high school. And then I was able to transfer to UCF. However, there's a lot more to somebody's life than just your education. You're 2 steps behind, Ginger Boy. Pick up the slack. This is my wonderful brother. We have 2 years, 2 months, and 2 feet difference in between us. And whenever we grew up and playing games, we were playing very militant type games. As you can see, we are currently shooting bows. That was one of our favorite activities. I did fencing for 2 years, airsoft, basically everything with the exception of fist to fist, because we would kill each other. But whenever we did this, it created a very competitive drive within myself because I was always fighting with people that were about yay high, and I was yay high. And then all my brother's friends were his height, if not bigger. So it created an irrational competitive drive within myself. And then not only that, my father, he had a very wonderful saying. If you don't have the time to do it right, you have the time to do it twice. Well, this actually helps me out in business. It allowed me to become the first male server at the location that I'm currently working at, and it's been able to get me a second job as well. However, there's a lot more to your life than just your work and your personal life. You're 2 steps behind, Ginger Boy. Pick up the slack. And then one day I sat down and I realized, who is to really say that I am 2 steps behind? Well, the American dream, of course. Go to college, preferably on scholarship now. Make sure you get that bright futures. Get a job. Get married. Have a family. Have lots of kids. Grow old and die. I'm saying, I don't want this dream. I want a more luminous dream. I want something that when I pass away, there's more than 3 people who care. I want to own a children's home. And I have a whole other speech for that. If you give me another 10 minutes, I'll be happy to go into it. It's already prepped and ready to go. But that's not the point today. The point today is that sometimes life comes at us fast. Sometimes we don't have time to get a mentor. Sometimes we don't have time to even breathe. But when it comes, we simply embrace it. And all me and you have to do is live life. Because at the end of the day, there's only one person in your race, and that's you. For when we finally realize that it's us and only us running in our race, we are now 2 steps ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Talk about an icebreaker. Rich, can we have a minute on the clock for evaluations? And for those unfamiliar, you have informal evaluations. Please take a moment to fill one out and give Sam your feedback. It's much appreciated.
Seconds.
Rob Thank you, Rich. So how does light impact energy? Well, energy from our sun reaches the earth can be converted into heat and electricity, and the governments and scientists worldwide are working to develop affordable and clean solar energy technologies. Solar energy will provide a practical, inexhaustible resource that will enhance sustainability, reduce pollution, and lower the cost of mitigating climate changes. That's second on the list of what they're planning to use this 21st century. Let's get back to our Toastmasters. Our second speaker today is a big fan of Jimmy Fallon and thank you notes. Please welcome to our lectern, Miss Lori Richard, as she gives speech number 2, Organize Your Speech.
I usually use today to catch up on personal things. I check my inbox, return some emails, and send thank you notes. And the holiday has put me really behind schedule. So would you mind if I send out my weekly thank you notes?
Sure.
I even brought my own music. Thank you, stepladders, for being regular ladders who married my mom. Thank you, decaf coffee, for giving me the same stained teeth and stinky breath as regular coffee, without the pesky side effects of mental clarity. Thank you, first week of January, for being the 1 week of the year when there are people at my gym who are fatter than me. Fellow Toastmasters and guests. While Jimmy Fallon's regular bit on The Tonight Show uses thank you notes to poke fun at many different things, there is scientific proof that being thankful has social, psychological, and physical health benefits. For more than a decade, the luminous Robert Emmons, psychology professor at the University of California, Davis, has been studying the effects of thankfulness. His studies have involved more than 1,000 people ranging in age from 8 years old to 80. And what he's found is that people who make it a practice of being thankful report consistently having the following social benefits. They are more helpful and generous. They're more compassionate. They are more forgiving and outgoing. And they also report feeling less lonely and isolated. According to Dr. Emmons, these social benefits are significant because thankfulness is a social emotion that requires us to see how we've been supported and affirmed by other people. In addition, there are many psychological benefits to being thankful. Thankful people have a higher sense of self-worth. When you recognize that someone has provided for you in some way, or someone has helped you get to the point in your life where you are, or that they've contributed into your life because they see value in you, that helps in how you see yourself. Study participants have reported higher levels of positive emotion from being thankful. They report being more alert, feeling alive, and wide awake, which is what I need. I need the coffee and being wide awake. So I'm very thankful for all of you. They also experience more joy and pleasure and are more optimistic. This is because thankfulness blocks negative emotions. There's a study that was done by, in 2008, and it was reported in the Journal of Research in Personality. And this study showed that thankfulness can reduce the frequency and duration of depression episodes. So this makes sense because you can't feel envious and thankful at the same time. They're incompatible feelings. Third, we can all experience the physical benefits of being thankful. Researchers have found that being thankful is a stress buster. We all know that stress can make us sick. Well, rather, the inability to cope with stress can make us sick. Stress has been linked to leading causes of death, such as heart disease and cancer. In fact, stress claims the responsibility of 90% of all doctor's visits. Feelings of thankfulness have positive value in helping people cope with daily problems, including stress. Being thankful contributes to a stronger immune system. Grateful people tend to be more optimistic, which is a characteristic that researchers say boosts the immune system. Lisa Aspinwall, a psychology professor at the University of Utah, conducted a study which compared the immune systems of healthy first-year law students. By midterm, those who were characterized as being optimistic maintained higher numbers of blood cells that protect the immune system compared with their more pessimistic classmates. In separate studies, AIDS patients, as well as those preparing to undergo surgery, had better outcomes when they maintained attitudes of optimism. Thankfulness also contributes to lower blood pressure, helps you to get better sleep, and study participants even report exercising more. As you're looking ahead to 2015, will you reap the benefits of being thankful? Will you be more helpful, generous, or compassionate? Will your sense of self-worth increase? Will you have less stress, a stronger immune system, and a tendency toward more healthy living? I leave you with this note, something to think about from Buddha. Let us rise up and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we didn't get sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. I am thankful for that speech and the one before. We're going to have a minute on the clock, Rich, for the evaluations. Thank you. So how will light have an impact on our economics? Well, businesses in the field of photonics and light-based technologies work on solving key societal challenges such as energy generation and energy efficiency, health, aging of the population, climate change, and security. Photonic technologies have major impact on the world economy with a current global market of $300 billion and a projected market value of over $600 billion in 2020. So light does matter. All right, our third speaker matters. He's giving his sixth speech from the Cabinet Communication on vocal variety. Please welcome to the lecture, Mr. Hadi Nasir.
Jake and I walked toward the house. I put my arm around him. Sorry. Jake and I walked toward the house. I put my arm around him. I'm glad we went through that experience. Steel is hardened in the fire. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, let's flashback to the night before. My friend Jake is visiting from Australia, and it's our last night in New York. We're spending cash freely, out on the town, having a good time, not thinking at all to what's going to happen in the next couple of hours. To save money, we were staying with a host in Pennsylvania. We would take the train over to Trenton, New Jersey, and catch a cab over to cross to Pennsylvania. I remembered a few nights earlier, I was talking to the cab driver on our way home. So what do you think of Trenton? I asked him. Oh, it's a beautiful city. I love it here. I'm like, fantastic. We get off the train on our way to Pennsylvania, and suddenly Jake and I realize we don't have any cash left. And none of the cabs take credit cards. Crap. Let's look at the train station. Are there any ATMs? Nothing. We're out in the middle of nowhere. It's 1 a.m. We don't know anybody here, and we don't want to wake up our host parents to come pick us up. So, I think for a moment, Trenton's this beautiful city. Jake, I tell him. What? He answers, why don't we do what we used to do in Australia? And he's like, what's that? Why don't we just walk home from the train station? So this is before the time of Google Maps and directions where they'll give you a path to walk on. My phone's dead. I take his phone. I'm going to call my friend Chris, and let's get a map quest on how to get home. Call Chris up. He gives me the directions. He's giving us the car route to Pennsylvania. So in order to get there, we have to cross some bridge over some river, I believe. So I'm like, okay, let me go find someone to tell us where this bridge is. I see some random man in a dark corner decide to walk up to him and say, hey, can you tell us where this bridge is that crosses to Pennsylvania? He shows us the direction, and Jake and I start walking. We're walking along this highway. Cars are whizzing past us. All of a sudden, my friend Chris tells me, hey, I don't know if you guys are going the right way anymore. And I'm like, okay, let's move inwards, find an intersection, and reroute the way. So all of a sudden, Jake and I head off the highway into the closest intersection. I look around. The colorful world turns black and white. The sky becomes a sinister gray. The houses are moving past me in slow motion as I turn my head. I look to the right. Jake's fiddling with his camera. I look further. I see a tall, dark man coming across, putting some white powder in his pocket. Here we go again, I think. I look at Jake, see if he's aware of what's going on. He's completely oblivious. Jake, I tell him sharply, just keep walking. We bolt forward. We cross this man. All of a sudden, he starts talking to us. Hey, where are you guys from? I keep walking. I look around, Jake's behind me. Keep walking, I think to myself. I'm still on the phone with Chris. Chris, I gotta go. He keeps blabbering on about something or another. So I just hang up and I call 911. 911, what is your emergency? The dispatcher says. Hi, we're being followed. The dispatcher, in a state of confusion, asked me, how do you know you're being followed? And I decided to be a smartass. Well, the guy was walking one way, now he's walking our way, I answered. The dispatcher keeps repeating, how do you know you're being followed? And in my head, I'm thinking, WTF, mate, what is going on? We keep walking. All of a sudden, the dispatcher asks me, where are you now? I look up, I see the street sign. Okay, we're walking along such and such a street. We keep walking. I'm still on the phone with the dispatcher. Jake has caught on to what's going on, and he's just distracting the guy behind me. We keep walking. How do you know you're being followed? We keep walking. How do you know you're being followed? Okay, where are you now? I tell him, we just crossed this street. We just crossed this street. We just crossed this street. We're on the phone for 15 minutes. I'm wondering where the cops are. My senses are ultra sharp. I look around, I see nothing. I listen. I feel like I can hear a police officer close by, but I don't see anyone. I decide to split from Jake to get a better conversation with the dispatcher. All of a sudden, the robber puts his hand in Jake's pocket, grabs his camera, and grabs his backpack, which has his passport. I'm screaming, get the hell away from my friend! And then I tell the dispatcher, hey, my friend just got robbed, where are you? I look to the right, Jake's frazzled. I tell him to run a certain direction so we don't run around like headless chicken. We move forward. In 10 seconds, the first cop car drives past us. And I'm thinking, where were they before? We keep moving forward. The second cop car drives past us. At that point, Jake catches up, and I say, Jake, let's stop the third car, because I'm not getting robbed again. Third car comes, we get in. Within 10 minutes, they catch the robber. It turns out that this guy had been in jail just 10 days earlier and had been arrested a total of 18 times. What an efficient system, I thought to myself. Jake had brilliantly filmed the guy's lower body as he was approaching us. We head to the station, they look at the evidence. Next morning, we take a cab home. I feel like I was going to get robbed again. We walk by, the cab's locked. We walk by, the cab's locked. We get to the house. I point the driver a little further away. We get out the cab. We walk toward the house. As we walk toward the house, I put my arm around Jake. I'm glad we went through that experience. Steel is hardened in the fire. Thank you.
My heart's pumping. We have a minute on the clock.
Time's up.
Thank you. How does light matter with connecting from the social media aspect? Well, social media, low-cost telephones, video conferencing with family and friends, these are all three examples of how the internet allows people around the world to feel connected in a way that has never before been possible in history. And all of this technology is due to light, through electronics, through fiber optics, and that's just going to grow as we develop this country and all the countries around us. Let's develop our impromptu abilities through table topics, and please welcome our table topic master, Diane.
Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, today I knew that the theme was 2015. Of course, I didn't know it was going to be about light, but I believe that some of my questions will enlighten us all. This year, Mike, you get to choose a resolution. Oh no, I'm not going to ask you that one. Sorry, I got the wrong one. For this one, we will need a luminous individual. So, Stephen, do you think 2015 will be a good year or a bad year for the stock market, and why?
Madam Table Topics Master, before the Great Depression and the policies were put in place to keep the banks more in line, separating investment from savings, there was a cyclical behavior within the markets within the United States and around the world. About every 10 to 15 years, you'd end up seeing the stock markets take a tumble. Sometimes it was a crash, sometimes it was a significant drop in a slower pace. After those safeguards were put in place, this cycle broke for about those 70 years, 50, 70 years, until they started relaxing them in the 80s here. At that point, the cycle started to reoccur, and it's only now some people are actually catching it. The savings and loan crisis, later the dot-com bubble, and now the crisis that hit in 2008. They're about 15 years apart. 2008 was when that last one occurred. We're only about 7 years past it. So what should be happening now is a significant jump in the economy, and in the numbers that are showing for that last quarter, 5% jump, which is ridiculous, seems to be catching on fire. I expect 2015 to be a massive jump up in that sense for the economy and the stock market in particular. I would be worrying once you start getting to 2020, that's the point where things should start seeing those signs of it about to turn around and come down. So if you're going to jump into anything, I would say this would be a great year to do it. Certainly don't sit down and wait and see what's going to happen, because by the time that is 5 years later, we're looking at another turnaround. That's my opinion.
Okay, so Mike, you don't get out of it. Many people think the new year is a way to get a fresh start. Tell us about a time when you have had to make a fresh start.
Madam Table Topics Master, a time for me to have a luminous moment to start fresh in and above this new year was the time I got out of the military. It was a time that I decided it's turn this around. Got myself a dog, started a new life, decided to change who I was, and look toward the future. Started in school and began anew. So here I am today. I am 6 months away from graduating from college, and I'm very excited for my future. Thank you.
Lamar, describe your fantasy New Year's Eve.
I would have to say, very simply, just probably watching everybody else act crazy and, you know, and the champagne. That's it.
All right. Are you up? I've forgotten your name. I'm sorry.
Sanjeev, Lamar.
Sanjeev.
Yeah.
Sanjeev. Okay. You have found a charity that is near and dear to your heart, and you have resolved to donate $100 each month in 2015. What is your charity and why is it so important to you?
Good morning, everybody. The charity is important. It's very important as it grows. Other people who are not able to rise to the occasion. I'd like the charity to do it in my country because I've seen there's a lot of need of money there, and the education system is not all that good. So I come from a small village in India where they don't even have schools there. So I send about $200 every quarter there to help the kids get some books or whatever there. That's my view of charity. Hopefully, and they will get some reading from that, or maybe some newspapers they can start reading through the thing, and that might help them to get better educated around the world.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
All right, something like that. Thanks, Diane. Well, that concludes the portion of our speeches. Now we're going to go into the educational part, and that's to evaluate the speeches. And we're going to, I'm going to change hands to be the general evaluator now. And let's hear how our first icebreaker did. Evaluating Sam is Stephen Morgan.
It's December 30th, it's 8:10 a.m., and I'm looking at evaluating quite an icebreaker. Fellow Toastmasters, our guests, but most particularly Sam. My goal as an evaluator when dealing with an icebreaker is to simply look for what you already have as strengths, specifically to highlight those, and then give you a few ideas of what you may look forward to. This is when anyone is going to do an icebreaker, my usual suggestion is just don't over-prepare, because what you want to know is what you already do naturally. Preparation, whoa. I heard you say that you were playing to slay the hordes of undead not even 12 hours ago. And this is what you did on that amount of time? In that set, in terms of the things that I'd be looking for, your organization was superb. Choice of words, amazing. Your body language was far beyond what I'd expect out of an icebreaker. Vocal variety, the use of a visual aid, which you just did very subtly and extremely well. You also had uses of quotes, you had dialogue, you had characters, you were making a great connection to the audience, and extremely good use of the body language, the high to the low, and demonstrating them that well. You're not leaving me much to add. You're going to have to work on giving me more to work with, I guess. This being the icebreaker, of course, you're supposed to be talking about yourself. We're supposed to get an aspect about you. So that you were talking about yourself was perfectly acceptable. Some of the speeches going forward, you're probably going to want to turn around a bit more to be talking more about a you, talking to the audience to get them more drawn in. So that's not anything you did wrong. That's just the nature of what you'll probably want to add to later. Certainly don't think of this as having to carry the weight of the world. Because here at Toastmasters, the whole point is to be able to have a safe environment. You don't have to be carrying that weight. There's nothing to worry about. There's no failing. The only real suggestion that leaped to mind what I noticed, and this is so far beyond what you won't find in the manuals and goes far beyond what any typical speech would be, when you did your suggestion of your American dream timeline, and you went from here, from college to job, married, family, kids, grow old, die. From your perspective, this makes sense because most, at least here in the Western world, we read left to right, and you went from left over to right. But you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the audience. So you should start over here and come in this direction so that we're going left to right. That's the only suggestion I have in terms of see how far. This is how far I had to reach to come up with something. In terms of your strength, cadence, that your pace and the way you tied in the emotional state from yourself to the audience was way and far above everything that I would ever expect to see at an Icebreaker, and for most people even I've seen for years in Toastmasters. You have that as a natural ability. Oh, milk that one. It'll carry you a long way. Now I know you said you were very big on competition, but as you pointed out, you're the only one in the race. So since there's no one to compare against, there's never a 2 steps behind or a 2 steps ahead. So Ginger Boy, you're exactly where you should be.
Aren't you glad you're here today? I am really glad to be here. I am thankful to be here. And also I'm thankful that my colleague and fellow Toastmaster Angela M., who's a guest speaker this morning, who's going to evaluate Lori Richard. Please welcome Angela M.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm thankful to be here. Lori, you gave a luminous speech that was well organized, informative, and relevant to us as we enter the new year. The introduction was great. I love the humor and the engaging way you used that humor, and it was a really nice use of a contemporary reference with the Jimmy Fallon trope. Your speech was organized with smooth transitions from the introduction to the psychological and physical benefits of being thankful, and it had a nice mix of humor that helped us remember some of the scientific findings you used to bolster your speech. There was a really nice conclusion in asking us what we could do to be more thankful as we go into the new year. I thought that made it more relevant to us and helped us remember. You're such an engaging speaker that it would be great to see you move from behind the lectern, and not like me, to do as I say, not as I do, in the future, and maybe have a less reliance on your notes so that you can fully release your personality on the audience. Overall, it was a wonderful speech and very timely. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to move right along to our third evaluation given by Mike Hughes for Hadi's speech on Jersey.
Madam Tabletop Evaluator, guests, and Hadi. Excellent job. You had vocal variety. Speakers who use a voice that is pleasing to listen to. Nailed it. Nailed it. Very soft at times. Had pauses, utilized them greatly. Utilized them very well. Excuse me. Balance of volume, pitch, rate, pauses to enhance their message. Love the message. Bathed in fire. Came out alive, was it? My question was, what did you learn from it? What life experience did you take away from that says, I'm not going to do that again? And you had 3 cop cars. I was wondering, how do 3 cop cars drive by you and you decide to stop the 3rd one? None of them had their lights on. It's like, did they just not listen to you or did they not believe you? The other question I had was, how drunk were you? I know when you travel from one place to the other, you start walking, maybe there's a few sip back. But, love the speech. If I had to make a correction, use your hands to really illustrate the points. Look around and stop. Throw the darts, throw the darts, throw the darts. So they stick. But all in all, great vocal variety. Love the use of pauses. I was like waiting for the next thing and then you nailed it. So, Bathed in Fire, absolutely loved it. Thank you, sir.
Let's hear from our technical table, and doing double duty as the grammarian and timer. Rich, how did you do? How did that feel to this morning? You were very busy.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow members and guests, this was a very luminous job to have today. So I'm going to mark that down real quick that I said the word.
Right.
On both, hang on both the categories. So, first let me put my one hat on as timer. We did great today as far as our speakers. Sam, you did, you stayed within your limit of 5 minutes and 21 seconds. Lori, you did 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Hadi, you did 7 minutes and 28 seconds, so you went a little bit over your time. As far as the evaluators, Stephen, you went a little over. It was 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Angela, within time, 1 minute and 14 seconds, and Mike, 1 minute and 26 seconds. As far as the table topics, Stephen, minute and 34, went a little over your limit. Mike, under a minute. I was doing so many things at once, I didn't hit the timer. I believe it was about 28 seconds. And then Lamar, you did about 24 seconds. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Sanjeev.
Yeah.
You did 44 seconds, so you stayed within your time. As far as the word of the day, Diane, you said the word luminous. Stephen, you did not say this word luminous in your with your topic, your table topic. Mike, you did say the word luminous. Lamar, you did say the word luminous. And Hadi, you did not say the word luminous. Sam said the word luminous. Lori used the word luminous. The one thing I noticed in your with the grammar, I believe, hopefully I'm doing this role correctly. Instead of saying the word fatter, maybe saying less, in worse shape than me, or just being a fitness professional that is it's a be a little bit more PC when you use the descriptive word. I love the way you use the word pessimistic instead of saying something like they had a bad attitude. You used a very good word there. Hadi, maybe not using the, I know you're talking about Jersey, and I am from Jersey, not using the word crap or risen. I loved, though, the way you used the word sinister gray. That was amazing description, and when you used the word brilliantly, and you did not say the word. As far as the evaluation, Stephen, you did not say the word. Angela said the word. Mike did not say the word, and I said the word twice. I have two roles, so that's our role.
And Emma, how we do on our ahs and ums and double clutches?
Sam, you didn't have any as far as I could tell. I might have missed some, because I was listening, but so I might have missed some. Lori, you had one or ah, don't remember which. Hadi, the same. Stephen, also the same. I'm seriously not being biased here. Even though you almost said that. Sanjeev, you had one or and sorry. Whoops, I should have myself to that. 3 ums. So.
All right, thank you, Emma. I appreciate that. I'm thankful for that. This was a great meeting, and I appreciate everybody filling in at the last minute for the double duty and all the wonderful speeches I heard. I so much enjoy hearing the speeches and giving them myself personally. That's what I really love about Toastmasters coming in and hearing the feedback. That feedback not only is for the person that it's directed to, but I also gather that information and try to apply it for my own speeches. The meeting was well set up, thanks to Stephen in preparing the room, and I'm sure he had to probably move everything around, so let's give Stephen applause. Diane, thank you for your luminous tabletop questions. And that's all I have. It was a great meeting. It was a lean meeting, but very full of meaty meeting of information that we can gather for 2015. So thank you, speakers. They were really good speeches. I'm going to pass the buck to our VP of Education to go over our club business. Please welcome Stephen Morgan.
Thank you. As the schedule made its way around, got into there, and it's in You've been on it already?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I grab it?
Julie was it. You were doing the Toastmasters. In the meantime, I'd like to get and anyone else doing 50/50?
I think it's.
We need more
I think we're
We need more
gonna
people.
pass it.
Anyone else want to get their funds in? The one announcement that I know I have is on January 10th, the Toastmasters Leadership Institute will be doing their semi-annual education. That will be at the Cavalry Assembly on Clay Road, which is where we've been for several years now. Everyone is welcome to attend. They're asking if you register ahead of time. I think it's by the 7th, it's $8, and if you on the spot, it's $10. That includes lunch as well as some breakfast stuff and all the sessions that'll be running from morning till mid-afternoon. The officers are expected to be there, at least for the officer training sessions. There are other sessions going on, and you're welcome to sit in on anything that's going on at that time. There will be more than just the officer training. There will also probably be stuff on leadership and speaking contests and various other topics of interest. I had sent out the information, I believe, in the last email. I'll send it out again in the one for this coming week as well. For our guests, we'd like to see what you thought of the meeting. I'll start with Emma, see if you had any feedback for us, because we love our feedback.
Well, all of you did great in the speeches. Actually, I really liked them, especially yours, because it was like you were moving around a lot, and I noticed how like the hand gestures and stuff. Lori, it was actually quite good. Maybe move around a bit, but other than that, that was fine. Other than that, it was a great meeting, and maybe I'll come back again sometime.
You can tell she's been dragged to a few meetings over the years. Sanjeev, welcome back. What did you think?
Thank you very much. This is my second meeting in Lake Mary, and the luminous great Toastmasters bring me back here, as I got posted. The speeches were very good, very informational. The thing I like about Toastmasters is every time I come here, I learn something about the world around me, and that's why I guess it will help me improve what I want to improve on myself, as you said, and that's what I want to do. I guess that will improve myself in terms of delivering, learning, and an impromptu speech where try to reduce against the ooh, and ums like. Thank you.
And a big thank you to Angela for coming and helping today. What did you have for us to
On my way here, I realized that in a way, coming to Toastmasters is like Alcoholics Anonymous in a way. Because I found that the Seminole College Toastmasters is on hiatus for their winter break, and I realized I kind of miss hearing people speak and learning from others and just having luminous thoughts dropped in the morning or the afternoon. So thank you very much for allowing me to come as a guest. It was a great meeting. Thank you.
And where's the schedule at this point? For next week, we are going to be, well, if everyone takes the roles as been given to them, Gus, I have as Toastmaster. Speakers, Hadi again, Nicole Alexandra. Hadi, you want again next week? Okay. Lori, you had signed up for Table Topics Master. You were set for that. Ernst is General Evaluator. The evaluators have Jorge, Stephanie, and Jessica. No one's here this morning, apparently. Lamar is our counter. You go with that?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Rich is grammarian again. Ready for that next week? And Juliana for timer. Is there anyone who'd be interested in taking on Toastmaster on the 13th? At this point, had a thought?
I'll do it.
Lori?
All right, Lori.
There are certainly plenty of openings. We'll see how those fill out as we go. Are there any other announcements? At this point, then, Sam, will you please come forward? There's the most important speech you'll give is going to be the icebreaker. It's the one that gets you started and moving on the track. For some people, it's always that hard step of finally just actually stepping forward. So we like to acknowledge and say thank you for taking that step. And I hope every Happy New Year. We'll see you all next.
Wait.
Oh, 50-50. Okay. Did we have enough?
We have
That's it.
250.
Where's my ticket?
Might get your buck back.
That's someone who can.
Oh, yes, a ticket.
Oh, yeah, ticket.
Alright.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, got who's getting the big one?
If I can see it. 720?
That's me. I got 50 cents for that. No, 250, so I made 50.
All right, we'll see you all next year.